Welcome back to part 2 of this short video series where I show you guys every piece of equipment here at Untamed Strength Gym in Sacramento, California. Part 1, I showed you every machine here at Untamed Strength, and in this video I'm going to show you the squat racks and the benches. Talk about brands, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and if there's a story behind any of it, I'll fill you in. Starting with the Rogue R3. It's not labeled anymore. This is the Rogue R3. Joey Zatmary was recently here at the gym and he did a video, quick gym tour of Untamed Strength, and he asked me if I had to get rid of everything and I could only keep one piece of equipment, what would it be? It'd be this rack right here. This was the first rack that I purchased before I even opened Untamed Strength, back in the garage gym days. So the measurements here are 2 by 3. I think that all of the new RML3 Rogue racks that I'll show you, all of their new stuff is 3 by 3. One reason I don't like that is because when you have the plates here, the 2-inch wide width here gives you some space between the squat rack and the plates. When you have a 3 by 3, that's an extra inch on each side, so the rack is much closer to the plates, and a lot of times when people use it for the first time, they clink into the rack as they're walking back. So I like the 2 by 3 measurements. I'm not a fan of the 3 by 3, which I'll show you when we're done with this rack. Another thing I love about this rack is the fact that this side piece, it comes in 3 pieces. Side 1, side 2, and then a pull-up bar. So it's just a fully welded rectangle, 2 fully welded rectangles connected by the pull-up bar. So really no assembly required other than this pull-up bar. And stuff that's fully welded tends to be more durable, and it's likely going to be straighter. You're not going to have a problem with pieces not fitting together or warped pieces, which I'll be talking a lot about today. This rack also has the west side hole spacing. So down here for the spotter arms, it's got a bunch of, I think it's 1-inch hole spacing. Got band peg attachments, all kinds of spots for that. One thing that's nice about this compared to some of the other racks that I'll show you, some of the other brands, is that you can put band spacing or these pegs down the whole rack, whole side of the rack. So it's got all this hole spacing, which some of the other racks I'm going to show you do not have. I don't have much of a story for this rack. I purchased it on Rogue. It came in the time that it said it would. No issues at all. The side story is I was deadlifting in a gym before I had my garage gym, before I had Untamed Strength, and I was pretty much kicked out. Told to stop deadlifting, I had to leave because I didn't want to stop deadlifting. So I went home and I immediately bought this rack. So this rack is the only squat rack that has been, that has been to all 3 gyms. This squat rack was it first Untamed Strength, Untamed Strength 2.0, and now Untamed Strength 3.0. So it has withstood the test. This is the RML3, say that right? The Rogue Monster Light 3 series. Like I said, this is 3 by 3, which I'm not crazy about. I have no idea why Rogue does that. I'm sure there's a reason, but it's a little bit wider here, which means again, the plates are closer. So some people will find that they're clinking into the side as they walk back. Same thing, west side hole spacing. It's got all these holes on the side for bands. I like this one. It's different from the other in that it has the multi-grip or the neutral grip arc pull-up bar. These are just cannonball pull-up things. I have the spotter arms on this one back here. I've got plate attachment, weight storage, a caddy for a barbell, and over here, this is the, these are for the I don't know what they're called, the arm swing things. I'll put up a picture on Rogue, but we actually use this for like a simulated car deadlift kind of thing. So that's what these are. The attachment's just not attached to it. I have 2 of these RML3s. There's one right behind you, John. I don't have much story behind any of these Rogue racks because it was a pretty good experience. I went online, purchased it, it was in stock, it was shipped to me when it said it was supposed to be, all the pieces came, and that was that. Another thing I forgot to say about that RML3 rack is that, again, fewer welds. The sides are fully welded, which again, I'm a big fan of. Less assembly for me is always good. Now this is, I don't know what any of these things are named. This is the monster rack, the enormous Brian Shaw Rogue squat rack. The reason I got this one was so that some of the bigger guys could do overhead press inside of a rack. The other racks you have to do it outside because they are too tall. So they're able to do pin presses inside the rack. They don't have to step outside. It's also great for log presses. These kind of act as jerk blocks in a way. So you raise these things up, the seatbelt straps, you raise them up, unrack the weight, and then you can do overhead press here or log press. And if you fail, you can just slam them back down onto the seatbelt straps. So this was mainly for all the strongman stuff that we do. Outside of that, I think there's no point in having this in your garage if your garage is tall enough. I think this is like 9.5 feet, unless you're Brian Shaw. But now this one is also a 3x3 rack. It does not have the west side hole spacing, the 1-inch spacing. So just bigger jumps here. Everything from the smallest pieces are really well made. The JHooks, the seatbelt straps are easy to adjust. The band pegs here, 5 stars. The reason you all came here. You good?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna talk about Titan Fitness. Tristan wants to hear all about Titan Fitness. So, I do not like Titan Fitness, for those of you who don't know. And I'm gonna tell you why. There are so many thoughts going in through my head that I'm gonna try to organize them and best explain why I do not like Titan Fitness. I should say that some people are probably gonna say, I've got a product or a squat rack from Titan Fitness. It was a good experience and it's a great piece of equipment. That's good. I'm glad you had a better experience than I did. So let's get started on this story time. The racks that I used to have at Untamed Strength, other than that Rogue rack, was just a no-name, off-brand, cheap rack that I found online. I needed to replace those racks, and once I had a little bit of money and I was able to buy new equipment, I wanted to replace those old racks. A member at the gym, Instagram handle, the Barbell Resistance, told me, hey dude, if you're looking to get a new rack, you should check out Titan Fitness. They have pretty cheap racks that look just like the R3 racks. I did, this was in like 2015, and the prices for their squat racks were even lower than they are now. So I went ahead and bought this rack right here. And it's a pretty good rack. When I got it, I was fairly happy with it. The side pieces are not fully welded, so you have these crossbars here that have to be bolted in, down at the bottom and at the top. But that's not a big deal, it doesn't take very long. The coating is a shiny, glossier feel. The R3 has more of a powder coated, rough texture, which I like more. The J cups are okay. These pieces are kind of crooked, so it doesn't, some of these pieces don't really like fit flat on the rack. And I've seen videos, and these are fine, but I've seen videos of JHooks, Titan JHooks breaking. I've been fortunate enough not to have any of these break. One thing I don't like about the JHooks is that they angle up. So if you have any weight on this bar, you can't roll it to the edge, especially if you're benching in it. You can't roll it to the edge of the JHook. It'll just fall back in. So I don't like that they're slanted. That's a poor design idea. But overall, I was really happy with this rack. And again, it was much cheaper than Rogue. So David, the Barbell Resistance, had said later on when I was replacing other racks, he said, I actually have, let me turn this down. He said, I actually have a Titan rack that I don't use anymore because he was a member at the gym. So he wanted to sell me that rack for super cheap. So I bought that rack from him. And honestly, that rack was pretty good. However, the J cups, just one second. The J cups were pretty crappy. I don't know if these were from the rack that he gave me or another Titan rack, but this piece fell off pretty quickly. Look at this. It's like this cheap rubber, yeah, not very durable. It's not this plastic like the original. So anyways, the rack that he gave me was a pretty good rack. So I decided to buy 2 more Titan Fitness racks. This was more recently, and I was disappointed. So when I got the racks, I bought 2 of the racks. All the pieces came here. It was all, you know, broken down to posts, uprights, crossbars. And as I unboxed it all, I was counting the pieces and realized that there's not enough pieces to make 2 racks. So I messaged them, I emailed them and said, hey, I didn't get all the pieces for my 2 racks. A few days later, they responded and said, okay, we'll send the other pieces. And I'm thinking, how do you not count? Like, it was 2 uprights missing. They sent me 6 uprights. I needed 8 to make 2 racks. Anyways, so I said, you know, how do you not count how many uprights you send? So I had to wait for a little while to get those pieces. Once they got here and I started assembling them all, nothing would fit together. These pieces would not fit. The measurements were off. They were bent and warped. And it took me nearly a day to assemble them because I was thinking maybe it's like a puzzle. This piece has to be the back left. This piece has to be the back right. And so I did a bunch of different combinations of trying to put them together, and it was still really, really difficult to get these pieces to fit together, to get the bolt to fit through. And so once I finally, with some banging of a sledgehammer, once I finally got them to fit, I set them on the ground, and it's only standing on 2 legs. So on 2 opposite legs. The other pieces were off the ground, wobbling like that. I thought maybe it's the ground, so I moved it around the gym. Same thing. I never had this issue with the other racks, but I was having this issue with Titan racks. So the first rack that I put together wouldn't even sit right. It was wobbling all over the place. Once I drilled it down, it was a little bit better, obviously, because I had to drill the thing. But as I was drilling it, I could see it kind of pulling in to fit down on the ground. The second rack that I got was even worse. This took me even longer to put together, and the 2 of the uprights were visibly up and curved. Huge curves in the uprights. And so, same thing, putting together was a pain in the ass. I finally drilled it down into the ground and got it to sit without rocking because of the anchors. So that was the first issue with Titan Fitness, was that they sent me a bunch of crap that was bent, that wouldn't be drilled in. Also, these spacing, not on this rack but another one, were not even. So 20 holes up would match 19 holes up, right? Kind of match. So this, when you slid this across, couldn't fit it in because the thing was so crooked. So that was another issue. These aren't even across, up and down. I feel like I need a break.
Go.
Now, moving on to more Titan Fitness products. I bought some sleds at the same time that I bought the racks. If I had purchased the racks and then given it some time, I probably wouldn't have purchased from Titan again, but I bought some sleds with the racks. Now, before I move on to the sleds, I want to say that I realize the irony, I suppose, in saying, yeah, I have a bunch of crooked Titan Fitness racks here at Untamed Strength. You should join Untamed Strength and come work out. We got great equipment. But the honest truth is that now that the pieces are drilled in, or the racks are anchored down in the ground, majority of the members don't even know the struggle that was trying to put them together. And they're really not like visibly crooked because they're drilled into the ground. But we still do have those issues with trying to fit the safeties through because the holes are not evenly spaced. And don't tell the members, but if you look closely, you can see that the rack is bowed. But again, majority of the members don't even notice it. But it pisses me off. So I had 3 sleds before this from Christian Fitness Factory. And I actually used those for a high school football team when I used to coach them. And then when I opened Untamed Strength, I brought them over there. They lasted 3 years. They were great sleds, really no issues. They just over time got really beat up. Not from light use, but every day we were using those sleds. A bunch of people using those sleds all day, every day. We use them for competitions. We would do sleds nearly every day. I would push a sled every day. So it wasn't just one person using the sled a couple times a week. So these things got a lot of use, and I used them for 3 years. It came to the point where I said, I think it's time to replace these sleds. So I went to Titan Fitness. Now, when I got the sleds, I will say that I was happy with the fact that the sleds are heavy, which typically means that it's heavy duty. But like the squat racks, they were shipped in a bunch of different pieces. And some of them were missing. So I laid them all out and I said, how are we missing this many pieces? Again, contacted Titan. I said, I'm missing pieces to my 3 sleds. So they said, okay, we'll send them out. This was a couple days later. I'm thinking, why are you sending all these products without all their pieces? So I waited for those pieces to get here. Now, putting these together was the biggest pain in the ass, I think, of all 5 years owning the gym. I had to sledgehammer these pieces into place. So these crossbars here that fit, I had to beat the hell out of with a sledgehammer to get the bolts to go through. And so here I am in the gym banging this damn piece of metal, and members are walking in the gym as I'm beating the hell out of this, and I'm like, we got some new equipment, guys, and I'm beating it up. So I finally got it together. The low handle, I put it on the outside and it wouldn't fit. The pieces were slanted. On all of these, the low handle wouldn't fit. And so I contacted them and I said, where is this low handle supposed to go? Does not fit in these holes, the spacing to it. And Titan responded, the low handle is for developing the glutes and hamstrings, and the tall vertical pulls are for developing the quadriceps. What? I'm asking about your stupid product that doesn't fit. Am I supposed to drill another hole into this? And I didn't get any response. I also mentioned that their squat racks were crooked that they sent me. They didn't make any comment about that. And so I finally bent the pieces back so that they were straight. The Titan rack, the sleds come with this pole that goes in the middle so that you can slide the plates on. Now I realized that I put the low handle on the inside, not on the outside, but that's because when it's on the outside, these don't fit here. So anyways, I put the handle on the inside. But none of these poles originally came with the sleds. And so I sent them another message. And I said, hey, I've got these things fully assembled. There are no poles for the plate storage. A couple days later, they said, okay, we'll send it out. I told them I had 3 sleds, they sent me 1. So, if you can imagine, it takes a week to ship something. I got 1 pole in the mail. I sent them another email. I said, I have 3 sleds. I didn't get any poles for the sleds. I need another 2. They said, okay, we'll send it out. And they sent me another pole, 1 more pole. A couple weeks later, after sending an email and saying, I have 3 sleds, I need 3 poles, they sent me another pole. Finally, after over a month, after receiving the sleds, I got all 3 poles. Next 2 weeks, I get something in the mail. It's another pole. I have all my poles, I don't need any more. A couple weeks later, they sent me another pole. I'm pretty sure they were trolling me with these poles. So I have extra poles now. Another thing about these shitty sleds is the plastic that they put on the bottom. It is useless. So they have these plastic skis, or plastic plates on the bottom. This is probably the same material that they make plastic forks with. We put this on, and I'm not kidding you, I'm not exaggerating about this. Within a couple of weeks, the pieces fell off. They just, the screws here just wear off and they fall off. We do it on pavement or like blacktop kind of surface. So I get that the plastic's gonna wear out, but it was about 2 weeks. I've used, I think, the Rogue Butcher sled, which also has plastic, and the plastic must be way better quality because that thing lasted us a long time before the skis started to wear down. This, couple weeks maybe. So I contacted Titan and I said, hey, is there any way that I can buy replacement skis? Mine fell off already in 2 weeks on all 3 sleds. So they said, yeah, sure, send me an invoice to buy some. I purchased them, didn't get them for a few weeks, and I sent an email. I sound like I'm making this stuff up, but I swear to God, this is how it went. And a few weeks later, I contacted him and said, any word on my skis? A few days later, yeah, we're gonna send them out. It took about 2 months to get the other skis. These are the other skis. They lasted a couple weeks and fell off. So I'm just done trying to put these plastic pieces on the sled because they wear down in a couple of weeks. These things have a lot of play. They move around way too much. The old sleds that I had and the Rogue sled that I used to have, you'd slide these poles in and they'd stay put. So this is kind of annoying that it moves around this much. Also, some of the pieces, I don't know if you can get it on camera, but some of the pieces don't push. They're uneven when you push like that. And so you can actually feel that one side's a little bit forward as you're pushing, and it almost wants to turn the sled. So I don't know if that's because of the poles or if that's because of these not being even. Crapola.
I see it.
So, Titan Fitness makes shit products for a low, low price. They're bent, they're crooked, they don't fit together, they don't ship completely, all as one set. And to top it off, the cherry on top of the sundae, they recently contacted me and said, hey Alan, we love your YouTube channel. We think you're doing great things. We would love to send you some products for you to review. Here's my review. Titan Fitness sucks! And I told them, I don't want any of your products in my gym. I don't want any more of your products in my gym. So I don't even want their free stuff. Maybe I'm being dramatic, maybe I'm overreacting, but I've never had such a bad experience with an equipment company. So I don't care if they sell squat racks for 50 bucks, I'm not buying one.
Sounds like they're understaffed and the sleds are overtrained.
Okay, now on to the benches, now that I'm done with that. The two original benches that I had Untamed Strength were crap benches. A good bench goes a long way. These benches were lightweight benches. I could honestly pick it up and press it over my head. The true bench press. The pad was this rounded, huge, soft foam. So they sucked, and they were pretty low to the ground. And every time you rack like 225 or more, you'd rack it and the whole thing would like tip. I'm sure John remembers. So I was happy to replace those after a couple years. And this was the first bench that I bought after those two original ones. This is Elite FTS bench, and if I had a gym that I had to outfit with 100 benches, I would put 100 of these benches in that gym. This is the Cadillac of benches. I don't know what the actual model type is from Elite FTS, but I'm sure you could look it up. It's got a solid, wide pad. It is regulation height, regulation for a powerlifting meet. It's got these face savers here, just in case you miss the hooks, you're not gonna kill yourself. It's got band peg attachments. It's got adjustable arms. It's got plate storage here. It's got spotter steps. And it came just like this. Fully assembled on a pallet. I didn't have to assemble anything. There is nothing on this thing that is gonna move. It's a durable piece of equipment. It's also very heavy. I have nothing to say about this other than good things. I bought it, it was shipped to me in the time that it said it would be shipped. Great experience. Now, on to the other benches. So I have 3 competition benches here at Untamed Strength. We do have a bunch of portable, or the utility benches, and if these benches are taken, we just bench in the squat rack. But I wanted 3 actual competition benches. So this is the, let's go to this one first. This is the Texas Strength Systems competition bench. At first look, it is a nice bench. It is, all the specs are in accordance with powerlifting federations. The height of it, the bench pad is stiff and it's sticky. The width is correct. It's got the step up for the spotter. So I purchased this bench on Texas Strength, whatever their website is. Purchased the bench, right? Paid well over $1,000 for this bench. And I didn't get a confirmation email. So I gave it about a week, didn't hear anything. So I sent an email. I said, hey, I paid, I saw that it went through. Any word on this bench that I bought? They emailed me back and they said, hey, what's going on, Alan? We went ahead and shut down shop for the holidays. So we're not taking any orders right now, but we'll get to it as soon as we're done with vacation. I thought, why don't you just shut the website down then and not have people buy things? So there's a whole month almost of me not getting any word. And then they made it and sent it. Overall, it's a pretty good bench. It is not at all like the Elite FTS bench in that there's a lot of movement. See all that? Which, yeah, is whatever, but I don't really like it. This bench looked fairly cheap at first glance, but it ended up being about the same price as that Elite FTS bench. I think the price was like $6.99 when I purchased it, but obviously, you know, it's money to put band pegs on, $100, $200 to put the safety spotter arms on, costs money to put these roller cups on, which actually need to be replaced. And so all those add-ons add up. And it was well over $1,000, I think. But whatever, I knew that going into it. I think these are good benches. I just kind of had a bad experience in that they shut down for a few weeks and I didn't hear anything back. So that was pretty frustrating and I think unprofessional. Another issue with this is some of the members will bench, obviously, and they'll clip this on the way up, whether it's just this little piece here or the bottom of this, they'll clip it on the way up, and these are fairly light, so it just picks the thing up as you're benching. And so you're trying to rack the thing, you scrape it and it lifts it up. Like the Elite bench where you can actually pin the thing in and it won't move up. This is just supported by that. So it'll move up freely. So that's kind of dangerous. You cannot pin bench on this. Some of the members will try to pin bench. And if you have really any weight on this thing, when you set it down on these, all that wobble, the weight moves all over the place. So they're really just for safety. They're not for use of actually pin benching. And you can see that some of it's not the straightest if you come over here. This, I don't think it's supposed to be like that. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Now this bench over here is the same Texas Strength Systems bench. No issues with this here. This does not have the safety spotter arms, but it has this for adjusting height and powerlifting meets. So you can go here, like that. So you can adjust the heights without needing to take the weight off the bar. So if there's weight on here, you can just move it up and down. This was actually from a gym not far from here called Liftaholics, and they closed, and so I bought this bench from them. All right, let's take a quick look at the utility benches, the portable benches here at Untamed Strength. So this is Rogue, I don't know the brand, or the model, but it's a Rogue bench. It has the straight pulls. This is the newer version. You see that these are slightly slanted. The base looks wider. So I don't know what model it is, but they're both Rogue benches. They're nice benches. This is the same quality pad that you would get out of any of their benches. Same pad that you would get out of the competition benches. The only issue with these is that the threaded bolt that went into the threaded hole in the wood, or the wood screw that went into the wood, stripped pretty quickly. People pick these up like this by grabbing the pad and move it around the gym. And eventually all the bolts just ripped out and the threaded hole in the wood was stripped. You should pick it up from underneath by grabbing the frame, but not everyone does that. So that was one issue. This ripped off, so I made some homemade fix. I just did, look at this. This is literally like all I had access to, and I wanted to fix it quick. So it's a washer, 2 wood screws in each, and that's enough to hold the thing down. If those weren't there, this piece would come off. But it's just one bolt right here, one bolt that went in right there, and over there, and they were stripped. So that was one thing that kind of sucked. But ever since Adam Paul came and put these washers in, it's been good. I don't know any difference between these two other than the foot. How that's slanted and a little bit wider, but they're the same bench. This is Rep Fitness. I wanted an portable incline bench, and this was a really good price, also recommended by the Barbell Resistance, and it's a good bench. It's an incline bench. The material here feels a little bit different, probably a little cheaper than the Rogue. It also has a bit more give to it, as you can see. It's not as tight as Rogue, but I mean, it does its job. The pad is dense, which is good. I don't really like that it tapers at the top, so the base of the pad's a little bit wider, tapers in and rounds off at the top. It also goes to a decline. Well, so you can go all the way down like that, so it's a slight decline for decline bench or for sit-ups. It has this spot for your feet. We've had this, I don't know how long I've had this, probably almost 2 years, and there's really no sign of wear and tear. So I would recommend the Rep Fitness bench for a gym owner or a home gym owner that needs an incline bench. All right, that's it, guys. Next video, I'm gonna talk about strongman equipment, as well as some miscellaneous stuff here at Untamed Strength. Thanks for watching, and always remember, train on time. Yeah.